This video was created so that you can confirm for yourself that using fuel oil mixed with Sosei fuel water SFW can greatly reduce the amount of fossil fuels used. Although SFW has sufficiently good quality to be used as drinking water, it also contains a large amount of special ions known as H3O2, hydroxyl ions. The image shows how two hydroxyl groups compete for a single hydrogen atom in order to form a water molecule. In this way, the hydrogen atom does not bond with either group, but rather it is liberated and moves like a piston. Energy is thereby created by this hydrogen atom. This experiment consisted of measuring when operating a generator with only fuel oil and when operating with a mixture of fuel oil and SFW, and comparing the results. The video shows two types of operation, with one using a diesel generator and the other using a small gasoline generator. This experiment shows the capabilities of SFW when using a diesel generator. The fuel oil and SFW are blended in a transparent tube and then passed through a mixer before being supplied to the engine. First, we will measure the amount of time it takes a generator connected to 7 floodlights to consume 100 cc of fuel oil. We will measure the time elapsed to use 100 cc, that is, from when the fuel oil level goes from A until reaching B. It took 129 seconds to use all of the 100 cc of heavy fuel oil A when outputting 30 amperes to light up 7 floodlights. Next, we open the closed SFW supply valve to mix the heavy fuel oil A with the SFW while operating the generator under the same conditions. The operating time exceeds the 129 seconds obtained when operating with only heavy fuel oil A, as it takes 234 seconds to use all of the 100 cc of heavy fuel oil A. 57 cc of SFW was used to create the mixture this time. You can see here the results of the experiment using a diesel generator. Calculating this for the same amount of operating time shows that there is a 44.88% reduction in the amount of heavy fuel oil A. We must point out again that SFW is normal drinking water with no additives. The main difference with normal water is that it contains a large amount of atomic hydrogen. The energy obtained from simple hydrogen atoms is approximately 3.8 times that of hydrogen molecules H2. It is thought that this energy can be used due to the mechanism that is similar to steam reforming. We also measured exhaust gases at the same time. The amount of carbon monoxide, indicating incomplete combustion, did not increase while the waste heat temperature increased, meaning that the heat was not lost due to SFW evaporation, but rather it was used in combustion. The hydrogen molecules also increased as a result of the decomposition and combustion of the water. To put these results in simpler terms, the 105 seconds of generated power that exceeded the 129 seconds of power generated with only 100 cc of heavy fuel oil A was created from the 57 cc of SFW. By converting to the fossil fuels reduction rate, we can see that a 44.88% reduction of heavy fuel oil A was obtained with a 1 to 1.75 mixture ratio of SFW and heavy fuel oil A. Next, we performed an experiment using a small gasoline generator. Two blowers were connected to the generator to measure the time needed to consume 40 cc of gasoline that was used as the fuel oil. The elapsed time for the level of the gasoline to pass from A to B while maintaining an output of 4.3 amperes was 188 seconds. Next, we will measure under the same condition while opening the closed SFW supply tube to mix the gasoline with SFW. It took 234 seconds for the fuel level to pass B. 2 cc of SFW was used to create the mixture this time. Let's have a look at the results. Although simple equipment was used, as can be seen by looking at the flow of the experiment, the change in pressure due to the change in the remaining amount of liquid with this equipment results in a gradual increase in the amount of inflowing SFW. Although operation is normally performed by maintaining a fixed oil and water pressure by use of an auxiliary tank, mixing the initial small amount of SFW in this experiment resulted in a gradual change in pressure and an increase in the mixed quantity. The engine stops when the amount of SFW increases excessively. For normal operation, when it is not necessary to monitor the changes in quantity, a larger rate of reduction can be obtained by maintaining a mixture ratio of SFW and gasoline that is similar to that of the diesel generator. This completes the presentation of the video of our experiments. Although SFW has greater capabilities than normal water, it is still water that can be used as drinking water and for other everyday uses. For this reason, experts in the field of internal combustion engines have raised many doubts about the mixing of fuel with water. Mixing fuel with regular water actually results in a greater number of problems. However, none of these problems occurred during the experiments we carried out using SFW for more than 1 year. In order to increase the credibility of our experiments, the images from them have been shown unedited. Approximately 45% of the needed energy provided not by a fossil fuel but rather by water. We hope that you will confirm for yourself the truth about SOSE fuel water. Hello, today I would like to explain the moment where water can become an energy source for the whole world. How can water become an energy source? In other words, can water substitute gasoline, kerosene or light oil? I would like to explain further. For the past 20 years, I've been researching this water process. I would like to first introduce the water. This water is called Sosei water, which I have spent 8 years to develop. By attaching the machine next to a water meter, any household machine in every home or restaurant, any bath, toilet and kitchen can obtain this water from the tap. Sosei water is mixable with oil, which means emulsification, but this is a bit different from normal emulsification. Sosei water doesn't weaken the surface tension. Detergent decreases the surface tension. However, Sosei water has as much surface tension as ultra-pure water, and it contains high sodium. The sodium and oil bind together to form emulsion. However, the molecular structure doesn't change at all. Now Sosei water is received into the tank. The received water, called H1, is rotated. By rotating, it becomes preferable to water. The characteristic of Sosei water is not only a mixture of water and oil. Sosei water has the same surface tension as pure water and contains a greater amount of atomic hydrogen. This is chemically proven in a number of ways. In brief, there is no molecular hydrogen. Please do not misunderstand. There is atomic hydrogen, solely hydrogen. Normally, our interest in water is how much molecular hydrogen, H2, is included, how much more the volume is than dissolved oxygen. Now I'm talking about atomic hydrogen. Sosei water is used in a variety of ways and is drinkable, of course. Now I'm mixing it with oil. And shaking the container like this. Only by lightly shaking, the water and oil go white. The main thing is the sodium and oil are combined, and it makes artificial soap. However, the surface tension and structure inside the water won't be reduced. Normally, detergent makes molecules smaller by reducing the surface tension in different ways. But Sosei water can change water like this without reducing surface tension. Please look. With the entry of energy, the water is rotating. We will preserve this. By doing so, atomic hydrogen is stably maintained, and atomic hydrogen won't escape from the water even after 10 years. This is just the same. This is an industrial device. This is a certain type of H1 that is rotating in the outer tank. Then let's move over there. Now I would like to introduce the diesel engine. This is the diesel generator. Heavy oil A is used. As you can see, this generates 200 volts and 100 volts. This time we use 100 volts only, but separate coils are used. When it operates on full power, because this has 2 power points, normally the total power is 2 kilowatts, but I can read 1.5 times 2, that means 1.5 kilowatts each. We can obtain wattage by calculating 100 volts times the amperage. Pressing this button opens the solenoid valve for heavy oil A. Then the solenoid valve for water opens. Heavy oil A and water are alternately running. If you want to use heavy oil A only, don't press this button. Then heavy oil A is running. Now let's get the engine started. Heavy oil runs from here. Then it goes to the engine. Fuel oil left over from the engine returns here. The oil circulates here, then it comes in from also here. There is oil on the top of the tank, and there is water on the bottom of the tank. In brief, oil is in the upper side and water is in the underside. All you have to do is add Saucier water into the existing oil tank. Although this has stopped running now, this is Saucier water, not light oil. It's just normal water. I'm adding this. After starting the engine, power on the system. Power on the system. Please look at the socket. I insert one first. I insert another one. Now it's working on full power. And now I check these amperage. One is 16.7 ampere, therefore it is generating 1670 watts. The other one is 17.4 amperes, 1740 watts. Over 3 kilowatts together. This is operating in top gear. This is generating on full blast. Now we stop the engine. The engine has stopped. Then I start to add water in here. Setting the switch to number 1. Water and oil have different specific gravities. They have different weights and viscosity. Therefore, oil has difficulty in running. In the meantime, water can run smoothly because water is light. We take the different specific gravity of the substance into account. Now I start the engine, as I did earlier, but please wait just a minute. Let me point out one thing. Firstly, what would happen if a water droplet gets into the engine room? Please use your common sense. The engine would break down. The engine won't run. Therefore, it's reasonable that we need fuel additives for water removal. We can't run the engine after just putting 30 to 40% of this drink of water. The engine will be destroyed instantly. Even if the engine runs, a rusty piston would ruin the engine. That's usually the case. However, I have a strong conviction that reformed water would be transformed into energy. What is happening inside? Atomic hydrogen is generating atomic hydrogen gas. Then this is transformed into energy. There is steam reforming inside. For transforming the water into energy, the oil becomes the additive. And atomic hydrogen gas has 3.8 times as much energy as molecular hydrogen gas, so-called H2. From a perspective of lowering the conservation of energy, we can obtain an energy 2.8 times greater than H2 gas after offsetting. I believe that energy runs the engine, and it has a strong reducing ability. Combustion hydrogen gas has extremely strong reducing ability. It makes pistons clean, and it will never rust. This is the used piston. There is no rust at all. Now let me show you how this works. I'm telling you right now, an impossible thing marks the start of the process. Based on common sense, if I put water in the engine, it will stop. However, this comes alive. Even if the engine generates power somehow, logically it would produce only 60% against full power when it includes 40% of water. If this produces the same level of power, it means that 40% of water is also converted into energy. This could prove that saucé water is equal to heavy oil A in value and energy. Now I would like to start the experiment. Now I start the engine. I'm going to add some water here. Please have a look here. The oil is running. And the water is running. Both are still running and continuing to run. This happens over and over again. Water comes from here, then through here, then comes to here via the engine. Please take a look for a while. The engine won't stop. It remains the same. It is possible to add more water by just a slight adjustment. The engine keeps on running. Please connect to the power point. This will generate power. Now it has generated power. Yes, it has generated power. And now this is the instrument for measuring ampere. It's 16.6 ampere. Yep, still 16.6. In the same way, this is 17.5 ampere. It's generating the same ampere as the previous electrical potential measurement. This is generating the same power. It means that even if we use saucé water instead of oil, we can obtain the same effect and power. In a car engine, this works in a similar way. This is controlled by the solenoid valve. Now, stop the engine. Stop the engine, please. The engine has stopped. Now let me explain briefly. Now water has circulated. Then the color changes like this. Water and oil are mixed. Therefore, it has become white and cloudy in the same way as the previously shaken container. Nothing is going to change how many times we switch on and off. Once again, we start the engine. It has direct ignition. The engine is working in the same way. Then water comes here like before. The same as before. We could start the engine instantly. Now we will try to use saucé water for a burner lighter. Please switch it off. Here, just the same, the oil comes to the top and the water comes to the bottom. The water is located here. The oil is located here. Then by igniting the burner, the water starts running. Let's start. This can apply to a boiler as well. The water has not been emulsified. It has an output just after stirring it slightly. Please look, the water is running like this. The water goes inside, and the water runs in the lower part because water is heavy. The oil runs in the upper part because oil is light. So the water runs in the lower part. It's the same as before. The water runs in the lower part, and the oil runs in the upper part. Hi, please stop. Last of all, I would like to express my message to you all. Sosei water has been converted into energy. This means that all households have the same machinery as an oil field. This means throughout Japan there are enormous oil fields. In brief, Sosei water will provide half of our sufficient energy. Then possibly we could reduce the energy war. My dream is to increase the amount of Sosei water used in side fuel up to a possibly 90%, instead of the current petrol and petroleum products. The bottom line is, Sosei water burns. Sosei water can easily produce the energy to generate hydrogen gas. We didn't use force to feed the pump during the experiment. Only the suction pump of the engine was working. We didn't pump either oil or water. You can obtain the same results by using only the existing feeder pump of your engine. The main point is that you don't need to have extra input power. In the case of all vessels, all you have to do is apply a device that can feed Sosei water and oil at the set ratio in front of the existing pump. I would like to impress people all over the world with my new Japanese invention, the recognition of the existence of Sosei water. Unlikely things come to reality. Impossible things become possible. That is my belief. I'll be seeing you again. Thank you very much.